You ready? We opened the record this morning in Poweshiek County, case number FECR 010822. The state of Iowa is represented in this matter by Poweshiek County Attorney Bart Claver. Also with Mr. Claver are Assistant Attorney Generals Scott Brown and Laura Roan. The defendant, Cristhian Rivera, appears in person with his attorneys of record, Chad Freeze and Jennifer Freeze. Mr. Rhodes, could I have you approach, please, so I can swear you in? Just go ahead and step over if you would. Place your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will interpret accurately, completely, and impartially, using your best skill and judgment and in accordance with the Code of Professional Conduct for Judicial Branch Interpreters. Okay. Record should reflect that Mr. Rivera, the defendant, has an interpreter, that being Stephen Rhodes, to help and assist him throughout this process, and that Mr. Rhodes has been sworn in. File reflects the state of Iowa filed trial information in this matter on Friday, September 14th, 2018. On that same date, the court approved the trial information. Trial information charges the defendant with the crime of murder in the first degree. Today is the date and time set for arraignment. Begin with this question for the defense. Has Mr. Rivera received a copy of the trial information?
He has received a copy, Your Honor.
Mr. Rivera, is that accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Freeze, does the defendant, Mr. Rivera, wish to have the trial information read to him?
Your Honor, given Mr. Rivera's limited understanding of the English language and his limited education, we would ask that the information be formally read to him at this time.
Okay, is the state prepared to do so?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you do that at this time, sir?
In the Iowa District Court, in and for Poweshiek County, State of Iowa Plaintiff versus Cristhian Rivera, Defendant. Criminal number FECR 010822. Trial information. Come now, Bart Claver as Poweshiek County Attorney, and Scott Brown and Laura Roan as Assistant Attorneys General, and in the name and by the authority of the State of Iowa, accuse the defendant, Cristhian Rivera, of the crime of murder in the first degree, a Class A felony, committed as follows. Said defendant, on or about July 18, 2018, in Poweshiek County, Iowa, did murder Mollie Tibbetts in violation of Iowa Code Section 7071, 707.2, Sub 1, Sub A. A true information.
Thank you, Mr. Claver. I want to next confirm then the trial information lists the defendant's name as Cristhian Rivera. Is he charged in his true and correct name?
He is charged in his true and correct name, Your Honor. It is spelled correctly.
That's correct, Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
I would also then, for the record along those lines, like to confirm the correct date of birth for the defendant.
The correct date of birth, Your Honor, for Mr. Rivera is 6/11/94.
Mr. Freeze, at this time I'm going to ask you, how does the defendant plead to the charge of murder in the first degree?
Mr. Rivera pleads not guilty.
Is that correct, Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Next question then, Mr. Freeze, does the defendant, Mr. Rivera, demand or waive his right to a speedy trial?
I've explained to Mr. Rivera his right to demand or waive his right to a speedy trial. He waives that right, Your Honor.
Record should reflect that the defendant at this time waives his right to a speedy trial. And Mr. Rivera, is it accurate that you've had plenty of opportunity to discuss this right with your attorneys of record?
Yes.
And you are knowingly, intelligently waiving your right to a speedy trial?
Yes.
Given that, we're going to discuss some dates at this time, but before we do so, on the issue of arraignment and anything else we need to address from the record, does the state have anything else?
For the record, Judge?
Yes.
On the waiver of speedy trial, just to make sure we're clear, is the waiver of his 90-day speedy trial right. He would have 90 days from the date of the filing of the information, obviously, to have his trial brought to trial. So we're just confirming that the 90-day speedy trial right is what he's waiving.
And I appreciate that clarification, Mr. Brown. And for the record, then, Mr. Freeze, the waiver that Mr. Rivera has done and you have referred to is his right to the 90-day waiver.
I should have been more clear on that. Yes, that's right.
Anything else from the state standpoint on the arraignment issue?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else? The defense on arraignment?
No, Your Honor.
I have 3 dates in mind, and I'm going to work backwards on these. The court is going to set trial in this matter to begin at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. Is that acceptable to the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that acceptable to the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
We will then set a pretrial conference in this matter for April 4th, 2019 at 9:30. The court is also going to set a trial management conference for December 12th, 2018. Mr. Freeze, let me kind of share with you my thinking on that. To the extent that that is simply logistics that we're going to be discussing, you and your client can discuss the possibility of his waiving his right to be present for that, and it's possible we could do that by telephone.
Certainly.
To the extent it is more substantive than that, we will do it here in the courtroom beginning at 9:30 a.m. Any question on that, Mr. Freeze?
No question on that, no.
From the state standpoint, anything else we need to address on the record here today?
No, Your Honor.
From the defense's standpoint, anything else we need to address today?
The only thing I could think of is the possibility of extension of deadlines for filing motions, designated defenses, things of that nature. Perhaps we can discuss that and confer with the court later.
Why don't counsel, while we're here, discuss that today? If there's an agreement, we can confirm that in writing. To the extent you need me to weigh in on that, certainly we'll be prepared to do so. Anything else from the defense's standpoint?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, with that then, we'll close the record. Thank you, everyone.
Investigator, he or she